Have you ever stared at your phone, wondering why someone who was so warm yesterday is suddenly ice cold today? That sinking feeling in your stomach, the endless overthinking, that urge to send just one more text, we've all been there. And in this moment, it doesn't just feel like he's ignoring your message, it feels like he's ignoring you. But here's the truth. Most people never tell you, a man's silence is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his internal world. And the moment you understand this, everything changes. In today's video, I'm going to show you why his silence hits so hard emotionally, why it triggers that feeling of rejection, and most importantly, how to respond in a way that puts you back in control, without chasing, over-explaining, or losing your confidence. Because here's the truth. When a man pulls away, most women react emotionally, but the women who handle it correctly, they trigger a level of curiosity, respect, and attraction that makes him rethink everything. So before you panic, before you spiral, before you text anything, stay with me. What I'm about to reveal will shift the power dynamic instantly and completely change how you feel in the next few minutes. When a man starts pulling away, your mind immediately jumps to the worst case scenario. Did I say something wrong? Did his feelings change? Is there someone else? But pause for a moment, because the real psychology behind why men distance themselves is far more complex. And honestly, it has very little to do with you. Most men aren't taught how to process emotions, especially emotions that feel intense, vulnerable, or new. So when he starts developing real feelings, instead of leaning in, he often subconsciously pulls back to regain a sense of control. It's not rejection, it's regulation. And here's what many women never realize. A man's silence is frequently a sign that he's overwhelmed, not disinterested. When emotions hit him hard, he doesn't talk it out the way you might. His instinct is to withdraw, analyze, and stabilize internally before coming back up for air. But here's the twist, and this is important. The moment he senses that you're spiraling, chasing, or trying to force clarity, it confirms his fear that the emotional intensity is too much, pushing him even further away. This is where most women unknowingly sabotage the connection. However, the women who stay centered, grounded, and unfazed, they create a psychological shift inside him. He starts wondering why you're not reacting, why you're so calm, why you're not begging for attention. And that curiosity becomes a magnet. It pulls him back in, not because you pressured him, but because he feels safe to re-engage without emotional chaos. So as you listen to this, I want you to stay with me, because understanding this psychology is the key to responding in a way that strengthens the connection instead of breaking it. And in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. When a man pulls away, most women fall into a set of predictable traps. Not because they're needy, not because they're dramatic, but because they're human. When you care about someone, your brain wants clarity, reassurance, and connection. But here's where things start to unravel. The first mistake is over-communication. Sending multiple texts, over-explaining your feelings, or asking what's wrong might feel like the natural thing to do. But when he's in withdrawal mode, every extra message feels like pressure. And pressure is the one thing that makes him pull back even faster. The second mistake is assuming the worst. Your mind fills the silence with painful stories. He's losing interest. He met someone else. I'm not good enough. These thoughts don't just impact your confidence. They influence your behavior. Suddenly you're reacting to fears instead of facts. And that emotional intensity becomes overwhelming for both of you. Another major mistake is trying to fix the situation immediately. When he goes quiet, many women launch into problem-solving mode. Long texts, deep conversations, emotional check-ins. But during this phase, he's not ready to open up. He's not avoiding you. He's avoiding the emotional weight of the conversation. And then there's the silent mistake, changing your behavior to win his attention back. Maybe you become extra available. Maybe you cancel plans. Maybe you hold your breath waiting for him to text. But every time you shrink yourself to keep someone close, you're training him to give you less effort. The truth is, none of these mistakes come from weakness. They come from fear. Fear of loss. Fear of abandonment. Fear of not being chosen. But once you understand what's really happening, you can shift from reacting emotionally to responding powerfully. And that shift is what we're unlocking next. The moment you realize he's ignoring you, your instincts kick in fast, your chest tightens, your thoughts speed up, and suddenly every little thing he said or did starts replaying in your head. This is exactly where most women make quick, emotional decisions that backfire. But you're not going to do that. Instead, here's what you need to do immediately, and this is where everything starts to shift. First, you need to interrupt the emotional spiral. When a man goes quiet, your brain treats it like a threat. It activates fear, insecurity, and urgency. So before you react, you must ground yourself. Take a breath, put your phone down, give your nervous system a moment to catch up to reality. This single pause keeps you from sending messages you'll regret or chasing for answers he's not ready to give. Next, you need to detach from the outcome instantly. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop gripping. When you emotionally detach, you shift from "I need him to respond" to "I'm okay whether he responds or not." That energy is powerful, attractive, centered. Men feel it even through silence. Then, redirect your attention to self-led actions. Do something that puts you back in your body and out of your head. Go for a walk, take a shower, step into a task, talk to a friend, play music, move your environment. Movement breaks emotional fixation and restores your sense of self without him having to do anything. The next crucial step: do nothing toward him. No double texting, no angry paragraphs, no just checking in, no passive-aggressive stories, no accidental calls. Your silence isn't a game, it's emotional maturity. You're giving both of you space. His silence is often about his internal world. Yours shows you respect it. And here's the surprising part. When you don't react, he does. Your non-response creates curiosity. It makes him wonder why you're calm, why you're not chasing, why you're not demanding reassurance. This subtle shift pulls him back in far more powerfully than any message ever could. Finally, remind yourself, his behavior is information, not a definition of your worth. Use this moment to observe, not over-invest. How he re-engages will tell you everything. In the next section, I'll show you the high-value behaviors that naturally increase attraction, without you lifting a finger. When a man begins to pull away, you might feel the urge to prove your worth, show him what he's missing, or remind him why he should stay close. But the real secret to increasing attraction isn't about doing more. It's about embodying behaviors that reflect self-respect, emotional stability, and quiet confidence. These are the traits that make a man lean back in, not because he feels pressured, but because he feels drawn to you. One of the most powerful high-value behaviors is maintaining your routine. When he pulls away and you continue living your life, your work, your social plans, your fitness, your hobbies, it sends a clear signal. You're not dependent on his attention to feel whole. This steadiness is incredibly magnetic. Men are drawn to women whose lives don't freeze when theirs become uncertain. Another key behavior is emotional composure. Instead of reacting with panic, accusation, or insecurity, you stay calm. You don't assume the worst. You don't jump to conclusions. This emotional balance shows maturity, and it instantly separates you from others who react impulsively. When you respond, you do it with clarity, not fear. Next is protecting your energy. When a man goes silent, many women overextend themselves, giving more, trying harder, waiting around. But high-value women don't chase. They don't beg for attention. They don't pour effort into someone who isn't meeting them halfway. This creates a natural and healthy boundary that increases your value in his eyes. Another magnetic behavior is maintaining mystery, not by playing games, but by keeping your world full, rich, and independent. When he can't predict your every move, when he doesn't have full access to your emotions, when you're not constantly updating him or seeking validation, he starts to lean forward. Curiosity is one of the strongest forces in attraction. And finally, the most powerful behavior, confidence without confrontation. You're not angry, you're not chasing, you're not trying to control his pace. You're simply showing, through your actions, that you choose yourself, whether he steps up or not. These behaviors don't just increase attraction, they shift your entire dynamic. They remind him, and more importantly, remind you that your life, your value, and your happiness aren't dependent on his temporary distance. Next, we'll talk about how to communicate in a way that deepens connection without ever losing your power. When a man pulls away and then starts to reappear, the way you communicate in those moments can completely shift the direction of the connection, either toward deeper attraction or toward emotional exhaustion. And the truth is, you don't need dramatic speeches, detailed explanations, or long conversations to make an impact. What works best are subtle, intentional communication techniques that signal confidence, security, and self-worth. The first subtle technique is lightness. When he reaches out again, keep the tone warm but relaxed, not overly available, not cold, not desperate. A simple, pleasant message shows that you're open but unbothered. Lightness communicates emotional stability, which is deeply attractive because it removes pressure and invites him to re-engage comfortably. Another powerful technique is matching his energy without mirroring his inconsistency. If he sends a short message, you don't respond with a paragraph. If he takes time to reply, you don't instantly jump on your phone. This doesn't mean playing games, it means respecting the pace he set while maintaining your own boundaries. When you match energy in a self-respecting way, he feels the natural balance, not manipulation. Next is intentional pauses. You don't need to respond immediately every time. A slight delay, not forced, just natural, signals that you have a full life. These pauses subtly recalibrate the dynamic. They tell him, without words, "I'm not sitting here waiting for you." This creates curiosity and reminds him that your world is bigger than the connection itself. Another subtle communication technique is clarity without confrontation. If he becomes inconsistent or vague, you can address it calmly without emotional weight. Something like, "I enjoy talking to you, but I don't do well with scattered energy. Let's keep things consistent." It's firm but soft, direct but not demanding. Men respond extremely well to clarity that doesn't attack their character. Finally, use emotional neutrality. This is the art of saying what you mean without adding pressure, fear, or intensity. Neutral communication makes it safe for him to express himself and safe for you to protect your peace. These subtle shifts in tone, timing, and presence create a powerful psychological effect. They make him feel comfortable stepping back into the connection, while simultaneously elevating your value in his eyes. Up next, we'll explore how to emotionally detach without losing your genuine interest. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about him. It means you stop tying your emotional stability to his behavior. And this is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, because when you detach in a healthy way, you regain your peace, your clarity, and your confidence without closing your heart. The first step is understanding that detachment is an internal shift, not an external action. You're not punishing him with silence. You're not pretending you don't care. You're simply shifting your focus back to yourself instead of obsessing over what he's thinking or doing. When you redirect your energy inward, you stop operating from fear and start operating from self-trust. Another part of detachment is accepting uncertainty instead of fighting it. You don't need to know exactly where things stand in this moment. You don't need a label. You don't need instant reassurance. When you can sit with a little uncertainty without spiraling, you become emotionally powerful, and that power is magnetic. Detachment also means observing his actions instead of interpreting them emotionally. If he pulls back, you don't chase. If he comes forward, you welcome it calmly. You stop trying to control the connection and start letting it unfold naturally. This makes the entire dynamic feel lighter, healthier, and more stable. And perhaps the most important part of detachment is reconnecting with your identity outside the relationship. Your routines, your goals, your friendships, your joy. All of these remind you that your life is happening with or without his participation. When you feel whole on your own, you can enjoy the connection without clinging to it. You're still interested, you're still open, but you're no longer emotionally dependent. And that is the kind of energy that pulls a man closer, not because you need him, but because you've become the kind of woman he wants to come closer to. When a man finally reaches out after being distant, this is the moment that determines whether the connection regains momentum or slips right back into inconsistency. Responding strategically isn't about manipulation. It's about protecting your emotional energy while guiding the dynamic in a healthier direction. The first key is to wait for a clear, intentional message before responding. A lazy, "hey," a reaction to your story, or an emoji doesn't count as real effort. When you respond only to genuine communication, you subtly communicate that you value substance over crumbs. This immediately elevates how he interacts with you. Once he sends something meaningful, you respond with warmth but not urgency. You don't jump to reply within seconds. You don't send paragraphs. Your tone is friendly, open but grounded. This balance shows that you're receptive without being desperate, and that is the energy that draws him in naturally. Another powerful strategy is to set the emotional tone through simplicity. Short, confident messages create space for him to lead the conversation. You're signaling interest without over-investing. This encourages him to step up rather than lean back. If he addresses the distance or apologizes, respond with calm, non-accusatory clarity. Something like, "I get it. Life gets busy. Let's just keep things consistent." This shows emotional maturity and sets an expectation without creating conflict or pressure. And if he tries to reconnect casually, you can gently guide the conversation by offering light direction. "Good to hear from you. What have you been up to?" This keeps things easy but also gives him the opening to put in effort. Strategic responding isn't about withholding. It's about mirroring effort with grace, not fear. You're showing him that you're open to connection, but you're not tolerating emotional laziness. This approach naturally filters out men who aren't serious and pulls forward the ones who genuinely value you. When a man becomes distant, the biggest question running through your mind is simple. Is he still serious about me, or is he fading out for good? The answer isn't found in what he says, it's found in what he consistently does. One of the clearest signs he's still serious is re-engagement with effort, not excuses. If he returns with intentional messages, meaningful conversation, or genuine curiosity about your life, it shows his distance wasn't about losing interest. It was about needing space to regulate. A man who still cares will always find a way back with purpose. Another important sign is behavioral consistency. He doesn't have to be perfect, but he does show a pattern, reaching out, making plans, following through, checking in. When a man values you, he naturally wants to maintain connection, even if he communicates in his own rhythm. You'll also notice signs in his emotional openness. A man who's still serious may not pour his heart out immediately, but he does express thoughtfulness, maybe through compliments, apologies, vulnerability, or even subtle concern about how you felt during the distance. These small emotional cues reveal his investment. Pay attention to how he adjusts his behavior. If he senses you pulling back, and he responds by stepping up, texting more intentionally, making time, clarifying his intentions, that's a strong indicator that he's not just interested, but committed to keeping the connection alive. And of course, the biggest indicator is how you feel when you interact with him. When a man is serious, the energy becomes steady. You feel seen, valued, and considered, not confused, anxious, or sidelined. You're not guessing, you're observing. His consistency tells you everything. By now you've learned the psychology behind why men pull away, the mistakes to avoid, and the strategies to respond in a high-value way. But it all comes down to one simple principle: staying confident, calm, and in control of yourself. This is what separates women who feel anxious and reactive from women who naturally attract men without forcing anything. First, protect your emotional independence. Your mood and self-worth should not hinge on his attention or responsiveness. When you invest in yourself, your hobbies, your friends, your goals, you create a magnetic energy that draws him closer without any chasing. Confidence grows when you know that you are complete on your own. Second, practice calmness under uncertainty. When he pulls away, instead of spiraling, take a breath and remember his behavior is information, not judgment. Staying calm signals maturity, security, and emotional strength. It's almost impossible for a man to resist a woman who remains composed when things feel uncertain. Next, set healthy boundaries. Don't compromise your values or needs to get attention. Let him meet you halfway. High-value women know their limits, and they communicate them clearly yet gently. Boundaries show that you respect yourself and expect the same from him. Finally, embrace self-trust. Trust your instincts, trust your worth, and trust that you can navigate this connection without panic. When you combine confidence, calmness, and control, you radiate a rare energy, one that makes men want to engage, invest, and stay committed. Remember, attraction is not about chasing. It's about being grounded, self-assured, and emotionally magnetic. When you embody this mindset, you naturally attract the type of connection you truly deserve, one built on respect, interest, and genuine investment. As we wrap up, remember this: when a man pulls away, it's not a reflection of your value. It's an opportunity to show your emotional strength, clarity, and self-respect. Everything we've discussed today, from understanding his psychology, avoiding common mistakes, responding strategically, to embodying high-value behaviors, is about one core principle: you are in control of your energy, not his actions. Your next steps are simple but powerful. First, observe without overreacting. Let his behavior inform you, but don't let it define you. Second, prioritize yourself. Focus on your goals, your routines, and your joy. Third, respond thoughtfully, not emotionally. Use the subtle techniques we covered to communicate with confidence and clarity. And finally, trust yourself. Emotional independence isn't about shutting down your feelings. It's about maintaining your peace while remaining open to connection. By applying these strategies consistently, you not only protect your emotional well-being, but also naturally attract men who respect, value, and pursue you. Remember, confidence, calmness, and self-respect are magnetic. They create the kind of connection that lasts. Stay grounded, stay intentional, and step into your power. The right men will follow naturally.